Hello guys, today we'll talk about the dark age of Hollywood. What is the dark age of Hollywood? Well, we're living through it right now. The dark age of Hollywood is basically COVID-19. Okay? Gaming has had its crash in the 80s, but film has never really had a major crash, a major defeat. Ever. Recently, a lot of more movies have been delayed again. We don't like that, but it's gonna probably continue to happen for over. This might be the last time movies are delayed as well, but the dark age of film might be upon us. Okay, it is a pretty sad thing. 2020 was the worst year in film history. The fact that we had Cuties release, is the number one reason why, and also all the movies got delayed or canceled. 2020 was here up to be a pretty decent year in movies and film, but we just got bad movie after bad movie after bad movie. Scoob, Trolls World Tour. We got, Cuties, Mulan, Wonder Woman 1984, Monster Hunter. All of those movies sucked. I haven't seen all of them. I haven't seen any of them, but I've heard that they're all piles of doo-doo. Especially Cuties. I don't ever want to see Cuties ever. I will never subject myself. I will never subject myself to torture. Basically if hell actually was a real place, Cuties would probably be one of my torments because of how disgusting and creepy that movie is. And watching the movie Cats over and over and over again. And the Emoji Movie. That would probably be the worst things in the entire world. Or, having to be forced to play through Superman 64 again. I've never played that game, but I heard that game was horrible. But, having to watch Captain Marvel. I don't ever want to watch Captain Marvel again. Captain Marvel was one of the most boring movies I've ever seen. I was completely correct about Captain Marvel being one of the most boring movies I've ever seen. But, the Dark Age of Hollywood is basically now because all the movies and everything essentially got delayed and pushed back. Gaming hasn't really suffered. No games were delayed because games you don't really need feeders to survive in games. Okay, you don't really need and also now even streaming services are suffering. DVD and Blu-ray are reaching like a new low because of the lack of new movies. Not because DVD and Blu-ray are dying like all those media are saying. It is because there's no new movies. Why would you need to go out and, buy a movie on Blu-ray if there's nothing new? Okay? There's nothing new. Okay? If there's nothing new, you don't need to go and buy anything. Okay? The same thing is applying to streaming services. Okay? Streaming services as well have suffered a massive lack of content. Let's look at Disney Plus. Disney Plus really only got like 3 things. Okay? The Mandalorian Season 2. Mulan doesn't count. Mulan was a massive failure. It got Soul. Okay. WandaVision does came out. And it got Hamilton, which is still kind of a very obscure thing. But there isn't really anything to watch in there. Unless you want to watch, The Lion King for the 100th time. HBO Max is a joke. Same thing with Peacock. Same thing with all these other services. Okay, Netflix has been around for a while. Netflix had the worst year because they released Cuties. Okay, all the streaming services are now having massive cancellations because of the lack of new content. Even Disney Plus is suffering. Okay, even with the release of Soul and even with the release of WandaVision, which of course the 5 people on Twitter hate WandaVision. They hate Soul. Even though everybody kept saying how great Soul is and how the Soul is embodiment of the meaning of life. The Twitter still doesn't like the movie. There'll never be a please of anything. I wish, Hollywood realized that. Hollywood was dying for a while. Hollywood's movies were receiving more and more in mediocrity. 2019 was actually a pretty good year. We had a lot of pretty great movies. We had Parasite release, which actually won Best Picture. Alita Battle Angel, which is still my favorite movie of all of them. We had some more underrated movies, including Alita Battle Angel and the movie 5 Feet Apart. I think 5 Feet Apart is probably the most emotional and sad. It's probably the saddest movie and most emotional movie they have ever made. probably besides Schindler's List and The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, was both about the Holocaust. Again, you can't really top an event, which millions of people died for unfair reasons. Okay, you know, millions of people were forced into camps and stuff. Can't really top that. But the second saddest thing is a disease, is getting sick, especially when you're sick your whole life and you have to suffer your whole life. It's a pretty sad existence, kind of, there. We also had a lot of other movies. 2018 was pretty good for movies. But again, I like more of the big action movies, again. Those are my preferred types of movies. And again, 2020 did have a few good movies. Sonic and Tenet were pretty good. Tenet, you actually have to think while watching that movie, but it was pretty good. It had some pretty good action scenes. It had a pretty good storyline. It's kind of like the Terminator-esque. The big twist at the end that, Robert Pattinson's character was sent back, like Terminator, to, fix the future. Kind of like that. Sonic, of course, is a pretty good movie. Actually, I think it's a pretty accurate depiction of Sonic as a character. I think the movie's probably better than most of the games nowadays of Sonic. I really like Sonic Forces, but the movie is better than Sonic Forces. The Sonic movie is way better than Sonic Forces. Jim Carrey played practically a perfect Dr. Eggman, Dr. Robotnik. I use them both interchangeably, but yep. Sonic was pretty good. And then Duel was pretty funny. And there wasn't really anything. Well, it was a play of the power grab, but yep. So yeah, 2020, we have basically entered the decades of Hollywood, okay? Wonder Woman 1984 was obviously rushed, to complete its Christmas Day, release, saving of Mulan. Mulan was rushed, they rushed Mulan back into theaters because Chinese theaters were reopening, so they didn't want to lose the Chinese money, basically. Wonder Woman 1984 was a gigantic, massive failure. Mulan was as well. We're going to see a ton of box office failures over the next year. I'm still excited for Godzilla vs. Kong. I'm still going to see that movie, as soon as possible. Probably the most anticipated movie besides Jurassic World Dominion. But yep. The only good, I've not seen Soul because it's only on Disney Plus. I do want to see that movie, Soul. I actually do want to see it because it's about, basically the afterlife and how that works and stuff. I don't care about the race of the character. That was the original reason I didn't want to see the Soul because I thought it was gonna be horrible. Just like Onward, okay, Onward was horrible. I thought Pixar was really losing their soul. It's funny that the movie's named Soul. I really thought that Pixar was really losing their soul. Let's look at the last 4 or 5 movies: Toy Story 4, Cars 3, The Incredibles 2, and Onward. I've not seen Coco. I can't really say if that movie is good or bad, but yeah, a lot of Pixar's more recent movies were not that stellar. Cars 3 was really the movie where I stopped caring about Pixar's movies, essentially. And Disney as well. Frozen 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. Both of them were not that great. I would rather watch, many other movies than Ralph Breaks the Internet. Many more movies. There's many more better movies than Ralph Breaks the Internet. It did have a pretty good ending, though, which kind of saved the movie. But yep, I think the dark age of Hollywood is upon us. That's basically it. Goodbye.